Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the Assembly Lord. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mother, set my humble obeisances. Thank you for coming for today's class.
Hi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
We are surviving. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming to our platform today. By the mercy of Mother Frajalila, we have your darshan today. We're grateful. Thank you so much.
Right.
So maybe if you would like to first introduce yourself to the devotees, or if you would like to speak right away, it's up to you. So you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Jai. I'm Yasodamayi, a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I've been in the States for too many years. One of the first disciple of group of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in America, initiated disciple, and have been here pushing on his mission and serving him in whatever ways possible for the longest time. So they're part of the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. I live at Gitanagari community. I have a nonprofit that I work with here, 3-leaf farmed and synergy initiatives. And I also have I'm also a herbalist. So I have a herbal business that I work with from home too. So whatever way, I'm always looking for different ways to serve the devotees. So however I can assist anyone at any time, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Welcome back home, I must say. So I'll put the verse on the screen.
It's been a while.
I'll put this verse on the screen so we can start for today, please.
Okay. Narayanam namaskircha Narayam chaiva narotanam Devyam sarasvatim vyasyam tato jayam udayrayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Shnaivatam Swakatam Krishna Puna Shravanam Kirtanam Hridyananta Shtohi Abhadradi Vidyan Vidhunoti Shtitat Statam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayasya abhadrishu nityam bhagavatam sevaya bhagavati uttama shloka bhakti bhavati nishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So these are the verses that we chant before the Srimad Bhagavatam, starting the class. And now the verse. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-15. Udayapa ashtam bhavam shiras dvav amogam kapritriyam vaishnavam teja Ashtadya Samsayad Briguhud Faha Yadyapa Astram Brahma Shrirasti Amogam Kapritrityam Vaishnavam Teja Asudya Samyad Briguvaya. Do we want to do word by word translation or just go straight to the translation?
Anyhow you want.
Okay, let's go straight to the translation. O Shonaka, glory of Brigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Ashvatthama was irresistible and without check or counter reaction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Brahmajyoti, or the glowing transcendental effulgence, is resting on Lord Sri Krishna. In other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahma Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord, just as the sun rays are rays of the sun disk. So this Brahma weapon also, although materially irresistible, could not surpass the supreme strength of the Lord. The weapon called Brahmastra, released by Ashvatthama, was neutralized and foiled by Lord Sri Krishna by his own energy. That is to say, he did not wait for any other's help because he is absolute. Namaste Krishna Vishaya Vitaresh Bhakti Tirtha Swami Yasodamayi. Namaste Krishna Prabhupada Aristotane. Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha. Namaste Krishna Vishaya Vitaresh Bhakti Vedanta Swami Yasodamayi. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Psharani Vishesha Shadavari Prashna. The two things that struck me in this verse kind of stand out. The first is that Ashvatthama is still trying to, not only did he personally kill the grandkids of the children of the gurus of the Pandavas, but now he is trying to destroy the Pandavas themselves by releasing this Brahmastra weapon. The thing that really gets to me is that he still didn't learn. He's still trying to destroy the Pandavas, even understanding that they're protected by Krishna. So that continued ignorance is still there. And then Krishna, as it explains in the verse, he's destroying, he's neutralizing this weapon. He is protecting the Pandavas by his own energy, without even, and it says there in the purple, he doesn't need anyone's help, that he's simply there, without any effort, without any thought, without breaking a sweat. In other words, Krishna is able to neutralize this Brahmastra weapon, which Prabhupada explains is like a nuclear weapon. This is an atomic bomb that has been released, even more powerful than an atomic bomb because it can be directed specifically to attack, certain people, and yet Krishna is able to neutralize it without even thinking. So this whole idea of really understanding, if Ashvatthama had really understood who Krishna is, this is something that we as devotees are being asked to do all the time, is to understand who Krishna is. In the Bhagavad Gita, actually in the verse that's referenced in that, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, this understanding that the Brahmajyoti emanates from Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 4:27, it says, Brahma hit prastithaham amata sarvayascha shavasaya cha dharmasya sukha yakanti kasyacha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahmin, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. That's Bhagavad Gita 14:27. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how we obtain this knowledge, how we come to this platform of transcendence through the process of Shravana, Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, and also taking shelter under the position of ultimate happiness. That's Bhagavad Gita 14:27. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how we obtain this knowledge, how we come to this platform of transcendence through the process of Shravana, Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, and also taking shelter under the position of ultimate happiness. That's Bhagavad Gita 14:27. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how I'm having a little bit of trouble with the audio here, but so we have to understand the process of bhakti in order to get to the platform when we're not doing stupid things like Ashvatthama was doing in trying to, destroy the devotees of the pure devotees of Krishna, Krishna's friends. This whole process of understanding transcendence and this whole process of developing in Krishna consciousness, one of the things that attracted me to Krishna consciousness was the fact that it's a science. And a science is something that you can apply, just like we have the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. We can apply this science, we can apply this technology, and we can see how we are progressing in this movement. We can see how we're progressing in this science. So in the Ishopanishad, this whole idea of Krishna being absolute is stated in the invocation. Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachayate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete whole. So there's that understanding that everything that Krishna says, does, creates is already perfect. So that's kind of the foundation. Thank you. That's kind of the foundation that we are working with, that everything that's coming from Krishna is perfect. And our position is to understand that perfection, is to understand how we fit into this perfect world and what is our purpose in this perfect world. And if you want to go to mantra 11, we're talking about this understanding of devotional service as an understanding of transcendence and of nescience, of the transcendental and of the material. It says vidam chad vidam chavas tadvio bavo vido bayam saha avidya murtam tirtava vidya yam ritam asnute, right? Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Then that side by side is actually the point that I really want to try to understand here, is that we are focusing, rightly so, on the transcendental aspect of knowledge, but we also have to appreciate and really understand the material side too. And when we talk about the material side, I'm not just talking about, biology or geology or physics or engineering or, computer science or whatever, all the sciences that we learn when we are in university or in school. But also, we are also part of this material energy, that our bodies are part of this material energy. We as spiritual soul, as spiritual entities, are the transcendental part. But we also have this material body. We have a material body, we have a material mind, we have material emotions, there's a psychological aspect to us. All of these things are all part of this material world, all part of this nations. And we also have to understand that. And we also have to be evolving in that area as well. So as material entities, this was one of the main things that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was always emphasizing. Whenever he would leave, to go away, he would always tell us, when I come back, I expect you to be better. I don't want to see the same people that I'm leaving. What he was saying was that I want you to evolve. I want you to be better. I want you to be to have gone deeper in your realizations. I want you to have understood more about what this path is all about. I want you to become better devotees. So that was our constant encouragement, was to continually become better. I love the analogy that, I don't know, it was Srila Prabhupada gave this analogy that we are in this material world. It is as though we are standing on a descending escalator. You have these stairs in malls that take you to different platforms. So the moving staircases. So sometimes as children, we would like to play on them by running up the down escalator. We would run up them and just keep running up and coming down, running up and coming down. So it's described that our life in this material world is like that we are actually standing on a descending escalator. And unless we are actually making the effort to move up, we'll actually be brought down by the material energy. So our role is to constantly be moving up, constantly to be moving forward, to be evolving, to be improving, so that the material energy can't bring us down. Eventually we'll make our way up to the top and get off the escalator, but that is a constant and mindful process. We have to be mindful of the fact that we have to keep on moving forward. So I was listening to a lecture the other day, which really kind of brought this home to me. It was by Hridayananda Das Goswami. I don't know where it was, but I was listening to a lecture, and he was talking about the evolution of Bhishma, and I was thinking, Bhishma can evolve. I mean, I thought these Mahajans, which is what, the 12 Mahajans, I thought this great personality that we read about in the Mahabharata, that is in the Bhagavad Gita, this great entity, the son of the Ganges, Mother Ganga, he can evolve. And it was really interesting because he was talking about the whole pastime in the Mahabharata, where Bhishma forces Krishna to pick up the chariot wheel and to attack him in defense of Arjuna, when Bhishma goes through that whole pastime. And he was explaining how Bhishma, even his name, the one of the terrible vow, all of his life he had been adherent to this idea that I have to be always truthful. I have to be, I've taken these vows, and these vows are, my whole world is these vows. He took the vow never to marry so that his father could be happy. He took the vow never to have children of his own. He took the vow to always be technically righteous, in that he ended up on the side of Duryodhana, against the Pandavas. So, all of these vows that Bhishma took, thinking that he was, doing the right thing. But it was so interesting that even in the gambling arena, when Bhishma, when Draupadi was pulled in front of the assembled generals and men there, and then they tried to forcibly, strip her naked. That Bhishma was there, and this was his granddaughter, practically his granddaughter, and did nothing to stand up and to say, no, this is wrong. He was there thinking, oh, what is the technical things? What are the rules and regulations here that, that I have to adhere to? So it was interesting that Hridayananda was breaking it down and explaining that Bhishma finally really understood that this adherence to rules and regulations and everything, and that allowed bad things to happen, was not the actual right way to go. That if you agree to do something, but in the agreeing to do that thing, you allow bad things to happen and for innocent people to be harmed, then that thing that you're agreeing to do is not the good thing. And if you have to tell a lie or have to do something bad, but then innocent people can be saved, or good things can happen, then even that one thing that you do that is that you consider to be a bad thing that actually is helping other things, that is actually a good thing. Of course, that doesn't mean that you can go and, steal and rob and, murder and say that, oh, well, I'm doing this for the good thing. But the point is being made here is that Bhishma understood that this adherent to rules and regulations that had allowed so many bad things to happen was not a good thing. And so he's forcing Krishna to break his promise that he was not going to participate in this battle by lifting up the chariot wheel as a weapon to attack him, was proof that Krishna will break his own word to do a good thing. Krishna will break his own word to make sure that his devotees stay safe and that he will protect his devotees. Whereas Bhishma didn't do that. Bhishma didn't break his word to protect Draupadi, didn't break his word to make sure that things were going on nicely. And he understood that there was a higher level to how to be in this world. And so when I was listening to that, I was thinking, well, this is not amazing, but yeah, this is an actual understanding that we are being asked to continuously become better people, continuously to evolve, to continuously see what it is that we're doing and how is that moving us to a higher platform. I was kind of thinking about, where I am sometimes in my continual evolution on this path of devotion. And I was just thinking about, like, sometimes when I'm walking along the beach, you know how you walk along the beach and you roll up your trousers and you got your bare feet and you're walking in the sand and the water's lapping up onto your ankles and onto your calves and everything, and you're thinking, oh, it can't come too high because I'm going to get completely submerged. If I go too close to the water, I'm going to get in. But we're asked to get in, not just to get close to the water, not just to allow the water to lap up over our feet, not just to kind of like feel the temperature of the water or the feel of the water. We are actually being asked to get into the water. We are being asked to submerge ourselves into this ocean of devotion. And it's kind of like when you go swimming and you think, oh, how is the water? Let me put my foot in. Oh, it's cold. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. But when you finally jump into the water, you realize, oh, actually, it's not so cold. It's actually quite pleasant. It's warm, and the feeling of being buoyed by the water, being carried by the water. So I was kind of thinking about that this is where we really understand devotional service, is that when we fully immerse ourselves in it. And at some point, we have to be authentic with ourselves and understand, where am I in this process? Am I going to sit on this fence of, Sometimes a devotee, sometimes I'm not a devotee, sometimes, you know, I'm attracted to Krishna, sometimes I'm not attracted to Krishna. This constant pull of the material energy, Krishna's energy, material energy, Krishna's energy. At some point, we have to take that full immersion into Krishna consciousness, into this ocean of devotion. Hopefully not as we're about to leave, not you know, not when we're on our deathbed, knowing that, okay, there's no other point of going back. There's only forward into death. And now I can submerge myself in this ocean of devotion. We have to, as Bhakti Maharaj wrote in the Die Before Dying book, that we have to take this understanding and really embrace it now while we're in full, you know, full consciousness. So again, this whole idea of understanding the mind, the false ego, the body, and really appreciating where we are and what we need in order to continue to move forward. Maybe we do need to become more regulated. Maybe we need to seek out association that will help us in this, to stay focused. Maybe we need to read more. Maybe reading isn't isn't something that, you know, really appeals to us. Maybe we should be listening. Maybe listening to lectures is better than reading. Maybe talking is better than listening. So whatever it is that we need to really appreciate where we are in this path of bhakti. And again, like this whole idea of focusing on the authenticity of who we are and what we are, where we are, and really appreciating that and not hiding behind it. You know, one of the things that became very apparent in this whole pandemic thing, I'm not sure how it was in Africa, but in America especially, this whole idea of this coronavirus shutting everything down, isolating everybody in their homes, moving people away from their work. Some people they couldn't go to work. Some people, you know, had to be more cautious about how they were working. Like work, some people having to shelter with their families, or actually shelter alone, or being away from their families because they had to stay where they were. They couldn't travel anymore. So all of these things, our relationships, our family, our work, all the things that we sometimes hide behind. We talked about masking up, but we already had masks. We already had things that we were hiding behind. We already had things that we allowed to become the dominant feature in our lives so that we didn't have to deal with other things. All of this stuff was ripped away. It was like, it's 1 minute it was there, the next minute it wasn't there. And for the whole past year, for the whole of 2020, people were confronted with aspects of their lives that they never had to actually think about before. They were confronted with their relationships, whether it was with their families or with the people that they were staying with. They were confronted about the aspect of their work. You know, why am I doing this? Is this really what I want to do? Can I do something better? What is the whole point of this? They were confronted by their familial relationships, you know, all the problems that they have with the relationships, all the problems or no problems that they have with the relationships, you know, their health. They were confronted with their health. They were confronted with their needs. All of these things were really made bare by the pandemic, really put people in a position where they really had to look at all of these things and make some conscious decisions about stuff that they had not really had to think about before or didn't want to think about before. So now that we're coming out of this year, we're now in 2021, and what changes have we made? Have we really taken the opportunity to look deeper into ourselves, even as devotees, to look deeper into ourselves and to see, you know, what am I really doing? Are there things that I can do better? Are there things that I need to step away from? Are there things that I need to embrace? What is it that I can do better to become a better servant, a better devotee, a better example for those around me? Yeah, to take the next step to becoming more of an authentic, to realizing our authentic selves. So, so we'll go back to the original verse. If you want to put that back up again, and I will read through it, and then we can open up for questions, comments, corrections. So the translation again, O Shaunaka, glory of Brigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Ashvatthama was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. So, are there any questions, comments, corrections?
Thank you, Mother, for your nice class on the explanations.
Yeah.
Anybody has question, you know the procedure, raise your hand, we call you. I have one question which is in relation to the purpose on this issue of the Brahma effulgence protecting the womb of Uttara.
Mm-hmm.
I want to relate it to the story in the Bible about the Sodom and Gomorrah. When God were looking for a pure devotee to save Sodom and Gomorrah, he couldn't find one person, which led to Saul, to Lot turning into a pillar of salt. So my question is, the issue of coronavirus, does it mean the same God did not see one single pure devotee in the world to save the world from this virus? Because in the Bible, he was only looking for one soul, one single pure devotee to save Sodom and Gomorrah from destruction. But today, the whole world seems not to have one single pure devotee to attack the mercy of the Lord to heal the world. How do we relate to this? And here he is entering into the womb of Uttara to save an innocent one soul. And today he's not doing anything. How do you understand this?
Is the question that Krishna released the coronavirus because he couldn't see anyone that was worth saving? Is that the question?
Yes.
Huh. Okay. Well, I would counter that in that there are so many devotees that that have come through this whole pandemic without, they're still here. So with Sodom and Gomorrah, there was not one person. Well, actually, there was one person that left that that city, right? Lot's wife was the one that turned around to look back and was turned to salt, but Lot himself moved forward. So there was one person that came out of that city, and there's so many people who come out of the virus, this pandemic. But you know, it's interesting that you're looking at this from a negative point of view, whereas everything that Krishna arranges, because ultimately no blade of grass moves without Krishna's consent. So everything that happens has, you know, Krishna is in some way, either through his material energy or directly through his spiritual energy, is controlling everything. Of course, things in this material world are being organized by Krishna's, you know, external energy, but still, it's there either to put things into balance, okay, through the mechanisms of karma, that things are put into balance. But also from a devotee's point of view, we can take a look and see where is the positiveness in this? And just as I was saying, that for me, the positiveness has been in this pandemic, seeing where I really am, really understanding what are my attachments, what are my desires, what are my, how am I functioning in a way that keeps Krishna in the center? And if I'm not functioning like that, how can I make adjustments to do that? So I don't see the pandemic as a negative thing, even though so many people did lose their lives. But again, my question is that Krishna is always working to bring balance into the material world. So we have to kind of see it from that perspective. And we have lost, even as devotees, we've lost so many wonderful devotees have left because of the pandemic. But again, we can see it from the point of, well, Krishna wanted to take them back. Krishna has other services for them. And at some point, we all have to leave this planet. Nobody gets off this planet alive. So at some point, we're all going to have to face that anyway. So really trying to understand what is the lesson to be learned here? What is it that we can take away from this to make us better people, better devotees, better transmitters of this knowledge? How can we become better transmitters of this knowledge? And if we haven't learned from the pandemic how to do that, then Krishna will make other arrangements for us to learn how to do that. So I see Krishna's hand in a positive way in all of this. There are a lot of, there's a lot of even social injustices that were made bare by this pandemic, whether it was the inequality in the racial differences of people that were suffering more through the pandemic, whether it was the workers that we now call essential workers that previously were just low paid workers, but now they're essential because when they stopped doing their job, everybody suffered. All of these things were laid bare by the pandemic that we would have just continued ignoring and not paying attention to. Now we have to pay attention to it because, we were faced with it. So I see a lot of positive things with the pandemic rather than, the negative.
Thank you. My next question is on prayers. Uttara was pregnant and she prayed to Krishna when she saw the Brahmastra coming to her. Krishna intervened. Then the virus Brahmastra has been launched, projected into the world. Devotees are praying. Krishna is not responding to prayers. So how is the best way to pray to make Krishna really know that people who worship him need his assistance?
Srila Prabhupada once said that Krishna is not our order supplier, that we have this tendency to have like a shopping list for Krishna. It's like, okay, Krishna, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need to make my rent this month. I don't have enough food on the table, and that's there, as Christians, we were trained in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. This was, for me growing up, this was the first prayer that, that I learned, that I understood, was that we can ask God for food, we can ask God for this, we can ask God for that. And as children, that's how we are. When we're growing up, we ask our parents, Mom, I need this, or Dad, I need some new shoes, or, I need money for this or whatever. And that's acceptable. But when we get to a certain age, we stop, we are supposed to stop asking for stuff and start to ask, what can I do for you? Hey, Mom, I see that you're tired or whatever. Can I do these chores for you? Or Dad, let me get this for you, or whatever. So it's the same thing with Krishna, that in one mindset, we have this, help do this for us, help us do this. But ultimately Krishna knows everything. He already knows what you need. He already knows what's going on. It's not that we have to tell him, oh, Krishna, you may have been like distracted or something, but did you notice that, I don't have enough money to pay my rent this month, and can you help out, or, whatever. Krishna's not distracted. Krishna is not in need of like a personal secretary to kind of keep him on track with what needs to happen. He already knows what's going on. So we need to come to the point where we are understanding that we need to transcend this need to keep asking Krishna, to help us do this, help us do that, and kind of understand what I personally do is like, okay, I'm in this situation. What am I supposed to learn from the situation? How can I use the situation to be a better person? How can I use my intelligence in this situation to serve better? And ultimately, if you hold that desire to want to be a better servant, to want to be a better disciple, to want to be a better devotee, then Krishna will make those arrangements, because ultimately that's what is the most important thing. Not becoming more comfortable in this material world. That's not the most important thing, but becoming more detached from this material world. So maybe Krishna is putting you in the situation to help you develop your detachment from this material world so that you can become more attached to the spiritual aspect. And even that, and even if that is not something that is just so pleasant, but it's a fact. And I really had to think about this, because I think Krishna doesn't put me in a situation to become a better material person. Krishna doesn't put me in a situation to make my material desires stronger. Krishna puts me in a situation to make my material desires weaker and to make me understand the aspect of devotion on a deeper level. That's what Krishna is doing. So just because that's not what I want, Krishna's not gonna like stop doing what he does because I don't like it. This is not pleasant. This is not nice. This is painful, Krishna. Do something. I'm suffering. No, Krishna is already doing that. Krishna already has our best life, in his hands. He already knows what we need, and he's moving us towards that. Sometimes it's not. It's painful. Sometimes it feels like we're suffering. Sometimes it feels negative. But if you hold that, what is it in the Bhagavad Gita, the peace formula, that Krishna is the controller of everything, that Krishna's our best friend, that Krishna only has our best good, for us. If we hold on to that, then you see everything that Krishna is doing as for our best good.
Thank you, Mother. My last question is still on prayer and glorification.
And glorification.
Prayer is for our needs. We are taught to pray to God. And in the Gita, Krishna mentioned 3 kinds of people that comes to him. And one of those are those in need. Or 4, those in need. That's why prayer comes in. Mm. So when we pray and those needs are not met, why are we taught to pray in the first place? Then glorification is to praising God for all his mercies and kindness. So if prayers are not to be answered, Krishna have his way anyway. Why are we taught to pray?
Because that is the way that we connect with who we really are. You see, we're still thinking that we are material, but we have this spiritual aspect to ourselves, and that the spiritual aspect to ourselves calls for us to pray. Actually, we're spiritual, and we have a material aspect to ourselves. So this the way that we connect with Krishna, that we communicate with Krishna, this is what we're actually supposed to be doing. This is how we reconnect with really understand that we're actually spiritual entities in a material dimension. There's a Russian author that wrote this story about a spider and a man. And in the story, you couldn't tell whether it was a spider living a man's life or a man living the life of a spider. That was the whole point of it, is that you couldn't tell with the story which one was which. Is this really a spider and he's living as a man, or is it actually a man but he's thinking that he's a spider? So we are spiritual entities, and we're thinking that we're material. And so we are thinking that, oh, I need to pray for all of these different material things, but actually no, we're spiritual entities, and we're existing in this material, we're in this material drama, we're in the material world, in acting in this meat suit, this body that we're wearing. And our prayers are to actually help us to rectify our mental state, because our mental state is that we don't really understand who we are. And the prayers are there to help us reconnect with that. It's kind of like trying to find the best way to communicate with your, with people that you love. Do I call them? Do I write to them? Do I message them? Do I Facebook them? Do I Google Hangout with them? How do I connect better with these people I'm trying to reach? So we are supposed to be connecting with Krishna. We're supposed to be connecting with the source of who we are. How do we do that? We do that through prayer. And Krishna has shown us how to pray. And our spiritual master teaches us how to pray. And we need to really understand this connection as our lifeblood, that the more that we can connect with Krishna, just as we're talking with each other, we're supposed to be talking with Krishna like that, because you can't say that you love somebody and you never connect with them. How do you develop that loving relationship with someone when you never connect with them, other than you're only asking them for stuff? When we talk about glorifying Krishna, we need to move from the point of Krishna give me this, Krishna give me that too. Oh, Krishna, thank you. I really appreciate what you did for me, that, I was confused and you really clarified things. And, I'm having some difficulty really understanding where I am with this person, or, that there's a little bit of a conflict here. I'm really trying to understand what I'm supposed to learn from this relationship. Can you help me kind of become a better person with this relationship? These are the kind of conversations this is prayer. When we're connecting with Krishna on any level, this is prayer. It can be formal, like in the prayers in the Bhagavatam. It can be casual, just as you would, talk with a friend. But this is where we need to be. We need to be moving to that level of connecting to Krishna on a day-to-day basis, just as we connect with anybody else that we love.
Thank you, Mother.
That helps.
Our next question is from Saleka Prabhu. Saleka, please. Saleka, unmute your mic.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol Prabhu.
Please accept my humble obeisances, our gracious Prabhupada. It's a great pleasure having the opportunity to see you, to hear you. I've heard so much about you, and I've always been longing one day I will have opportunity to sit down and just hear you. So it's a great opportunity. When I heard that you were going to be speaking today, it was a great pleasure for me.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Prabhu.
It's not disappointment at all. It's actually gratifying. My question is, Srila Bhakti Maharaj has spoken so many things, and for one who has read who have read Gurudev's books, the pandemic may not have been directly mentioned, but there is so many things that, like Gurudev has said, that relates to devotees, disciples, to be able to know that some of these things will be coming up. So, as one of the senior-most disciples of Gurudev, I would like to hear from you. What do you think, if Krishna Prabhupada was on the planet now, what would he be wanting devotees to do? How would you want them to conduct themselves? And what should be the mode of our preaching and relationship with all of these situations that is going on in the world today?
Well, it's the easiest way to answer that question is to see what did Gurudev do the last time there was like a major upheaval. And if you remember, the last major thing that had the whole world like shifting around, I'm not talking about like from a disease point of view, but just from the possibility of complete global upheaval, was Y2K. When we were moving like 1999, moving into the year 2000, and there was this whole thing about the computers shutting down, and you know the grid would shut down, and you know, transportation, or everything that was controlled by computers would fail because of this glitch in the way that the date was being. And so when Gurudev came to understand this, what did he do? He had devotees prepare mentally for this transition, and he also had them prepare physically and spiritually. He had us, you know, focus on, well, what are all the needs that we would, not just for devotees, but for when people, if people would want to take shelter of the devotees, what do we need to have in place? What knowledge do we need? He had us all do research in all these different areas, whether it was water, whether it was food storage, whether it was medicine. How do you deal with illnesses when there's no access to allopathic medicine and to doctors? What do you need to do? How do you grow your own food? How do you purify water? How do you store food? What about transportation? He had us think about all of these things, to research all of these things, to become knowledgeable about all of these things, not just for our own selves, but to put us in a situation where if other people needed our help, we would be able to help other people too. So it's the same thing with this situation. How are we, and again, and that's what I was saying, that the pandemic, what it has is laid bare what our insufficiencies are. It's laid bare where our weaknesses are. Is your weakness in the fact that you can't feed yourself? If there is no, it's like now gas is going up again, you know? There's this whole thing going on with the whole, the Arab axis and the, you know, the access to oil, and this attack.
Gas pipeline.
Right, attack on the pipeline, you know, all of that stuff. And what it brings to mind for me is, okay, if nothing is able to be transported, are you able to feed yourself? Can you grow food where you are? Do you know how to do that? And I once thought about that, what it would take to like grow food all through the year and to be able to store it properly. Like what type of food do you grow? How do you store it through the winter and the times when you can't grow food? You know, how do you keep seeds so that you have something for the next year? This is all a science, you know, and this is a science that a lot of us don't have any idea about. And so what the pandemic has done is to lay bare all the areas in which we need to improve. We need to, and Srila Prabhupada talked about this so many times, about being self-sufficient. Gurudev talked about this, creating self-sufficient communities, being able to work for ourselves, being able to clothe ourselves, being able to, you know, create the things that we need. And the more that we move away from this and don't pay attention to this, the more that we become vulnerable when more and more things like this happen. It doesn't have to be a pandemic. It doesn't have to be the breakdown of a computer. It could be anything so simple, just like this, even this, you know, this not having oil, this not being able to move, to travel. You know, it could be anything so simple. So devotees have to always be thinking, how do we continue to move towards this ideal situation where we're not only able to look after ourselves, but it was once said in Srila Prabhupada said that like, especially in our farm communities, that we need to be able, when they come knocking on the doors, we need to be able to employ thousands of people. How do we do that? Do we have our cottage industries? Do we have our things ready to be able to expand to engage people as they come looking to us for help? So these are the things that we need to be thinking about. And again, situations like this help us to see, you know, where are our weaknesses? What are we, how can we make changes so that we can be more ready and prepared as things like this continue to happen? So I hope that helped.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Our next,
I don't know if you
after we come back to you, Prabhu, Mother Vajalila has a question.
Okay, good.
After her, you can come back. Yes, Mother.
Yes, thank you, Kusha Prabhu. Haribol, Yasodamayi.
Haribol, Mother Vajalila, Jai.
Hari Hari, it's so nice to see you and so nice to hear all of your wonderful realizations. I'm just so encouraged and inspired. This is so beautiful. I was thinking that you are exemplary of what you're speaking. You know, Gurudev Bhakti Maharaj always used to say, walk your talk. Well, you know, Yashoda walks her talk because she has, how many acreage of land where you live here?
About 5. It's not much. It's about as much as I can handle.
5 acres of land. And on that land, she grows so many different things. And as she said, she's an herbalist. And so she supplies, you know, her herbs, not just to the community of devotees, to people outside. And she has such an amazing clientele of people that are dependent on her for some of the products that she makes. And one of the products that she makes is tofu. And so I know that Yashoda is, she wants to make herself available to help anyone that would want to learn how to make tofu, because it's a very lucrative business, at least here in America. Anyway, that's just and I also wanted to say that yesterday when I gave class, Salika Prabhu was coming from the farm. So sounds like he's also being very proactive and understanding some of the things that you were sharing. I have a question going back to the purport. You were, yes, Yashoda does have a website. Maybe you can put your website there on the chat, Yashoda.
Yeah.
So much of the theme of your class was based on understanding and also becoming better devotees. What do we do? What are some of the things that we can incorporate in our lives, you know, to improve in our devotional life? Yeah, you talked about positivity. And so I want to revisit this point you made about Bhishma, how, you know, that he was doing things based on rules and regulations, which is why in that assembly, he did not, as one of the, you know, leaders in that assembly, he kind of didn't respond to the need at the time for Draupadi. And then you also mentioned that that Krishna, on the other hand, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he, his intention, because his intention is always to help the living entities, and most specifically his devotees, that Krishna, he's willing to do whatever it takes, his Bhaktavatsal, whatever it takes, love for his devotees. So based on this principle that you were sharing about positivity, how do we understand Bhishma's intention? And how do we understand it from a positive point of view, even though externally it appears that that decision was not such a wholesome decision?
Are we talking about his decision to not help Draupadi in the assembly?
Yeah, to not speak up. Yeah, to not use his voice, which he had, a strong voice.
Right. You know, it's interesting how we all go through. We all go through our challenges and our it's like kind of like being in school. In school, every now and again, you have a test, and the test is to understand whether you've learned something or not. Okay, and by coming through that test, you realize, okay, I need to focus a little bit more on this area, because this area I didn't understand so much, and this area I'm doing better there. So let me shift my energy to understanding more in this area. So with Bhishma, his whole idea was to, follow the rules and regulations and the promises that he kept, because he felt that that was how he was best able to serve at that point, But then, even as we learn from our tests, when we get things wrong, we see, oh, I thought I knew this, but I didn't. And I got this answer wrong, and I got this area wrong too. And this was not, I didn't get a very good grade on this. So even though I thought I knew what I was talking about here, now this challenge has shown me that, this test has shown me that I didn't really know much about this. And I think that that's also with Bhishma, that he also, again, was what I was really, enthralled with, this idea that, yeah, he's learning. So he thought that he was doing the right thing, and he thought that his demonstration of following, these principles was actually the best thing. But now I've learned that it wasn't actually the best thing. And it's not just in Bhishma's case too, because as I'm talking, I'm thinking about in the Bible, where the Pharisees are the people like the Shmata Brahmins, the people that are like very much adherent to the laws and to the principles. This is our lives are strictly bound by these laws that we follow, like the Shmata Brahmins that are following the rules and regulations of the Shastri, and to the T. I have to wake up at this time, and I can't eat carrots on a Kadashi, and blah blah blah, whatever it is. But Jesus showed in the Bible that even the Pharisees made a mistake. In the story of the Good Samaritan, all these people walked past because, oh, I can't touch that person, he's unclean, or I can't go anywhere near that person, even though he needs help. But you know what? He's not the right person, so I can't help him, so I have to keep walking. So even in that simple example, Jesus showed that, yeah, no, you put aside your laws and your adherences when somebody needs help. And again, this was something that Bhishma learned, maybe going through that and understanding, because I'm sure that in his heart, he was, and it showed in the Mahabharata, it talks about him being downcast, he's holding his head down because he knows it's not good. There's not a good feeling there where he's not getting up and helping somebody that needs help. And eventually he realizes that, this is not the best way. So he's evolving from that. So there is a positivity there in that, yeah, at some point, the rules and regulations are there, but at the same time, when there's a greater need, you can put those aside because there's a greater need. So, it's an example that we all are being asked to, again, come up to a higher standard. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks.
You already know what the answer is, Mother Fragile. You're just giving me a chance to share.
I just so much appreciate that you are making yourself available. I thank you very much.
Thank you for engaging me. You are the person that's always pushing me to become a better person and to get deeper in my Krishna consciousness. And I appreciate and thank you for your constant vigilance, as they say in Harry Potter. Constant vigilance, Potter, constant vigilance.
This is because I love you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Our next question is from Sahadev Prabhu. Sahadev, please.
Hare Krishna, Mother Yasodamayi ki jai.
Haribol, Prabhu. And I know whatever question you have, you already know the answer to it. So
no, I
go
don't.
ahead.
I know we are allowed to speculate, but not this time. Mother, I've been having sort of dilemma with this very chapter we're discussing. And all along, I've been trying to avoid prayer because I believe that when I pray to Krishna, just like I hear many devotees pray, they pray to Krishna like if some devotee is about to die, devotees pray. And then at the end of the prayer, devotees would say that Krishna, if it is your will, save him. If it's not your will, let him go. We are nobody to tell Krishna what to do. Krishna knows what he's going to do. And if it's Krishna's plan that he's going to take away somebody, he's going to do it anyway. But we pray that Krishna, even though you're going to take this person away, but we pray, we begging you to keep him. So why do devotees have to pray to Krishna and then again say to Krishna that if it's your will, take him away? So what is the use of the prayers then? So my question is, what are we praying for when we pray to Krishna? What is the essence of our prayers as devotees? Hare Krishna.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking about that, you know, our prayers. And again, I have to keep going back to the fact that we have a relationship with Krishna, you know, and it's not and our relationship, we have the opportunity to have a relationship with Krishna on several different levels. And in the Nectar of Devotion, it talks about, the Rasamrita Sindhu, it talks about the different levels in which we can have a relationship with Krishna. You can have a relationship with Krishna on the level of neutrality, you know, that we can have Krishna, we know Krishna's there and we're here, and there's not really that much interaction. We're just doing what we need to do, you know, doing what we're told to do. We have the relationship of Krishna on the level of, you know, master servant. We're here and Krishna's up there, and he's so, you know, big and great and almighty, and we're just these little tiny things, and we need to do what we're told, otherwise he will squash us, that kind of thing. We have the relationship of Krishna with friends, as friends, you know, like the cowherd boys, or like, not even the cowherd boys, forget about the cowherd boys. What about your friends? You have people that you hang out with, that you're friends with, that you talk to. Sometimes you know, sometimes you get mad with them. Sometimes you have a falling out, then you have a coming back together again. Then you go do something fun together. These are your friends. Then you have a relationship with Krishna on the level of the gopis, somebody that you know, that you love, that you're always thinking about, that when you're away from that person, you're always thinking about that person. When you're with that person, you know, nothing else matters, you know. So these, and you have the relationship with Krishna as the Vatsalya, is that the parental, where you're thinking, okay, what can I do for Krishna? What can I do for this person? And even when you take Krishna out of the whole thing, just think about these relationships that we have with all of these different people in the material world. You know, when you're with your son, you know, you're thinking, okay, what does he need? Oh, okay, just let me talk with him about this, or, you know, he's going through some problems here. Let me see whether there's something that, okay, maybe I can, you know, share something with him that might help him or whatever, or I'll come to you and say, hey, Dad, can we talk, or, you know, like that. So all of these different relationships that we have with with ourselves, or reflections of the relationships that we can have with Krishna. So when you have a relationship with someone on the level of, you're just talking to them, it's like, I'm having a hard time, just like you would talk with your friend. I'm having a hard time. I don't really understand this. They're expecting me to do this at work. No, I can't do this. I want to try to do something else, but they won't let me. What can you help me with? What do you suggest? Or maybe you should talk to your supervisor and blah blah blah. Hey, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, I did that. It didn't work. So these are the ways in which we're also supposed to be working with Krishna. With somebody that you love, it's not just a formal, a formal arrangement that, oh, you're over here, you're over there, I'm over here. This is my request, or this is what I need, or this is what your request to me. I'm gonna do this. If I can't do it, you're gonna be mad at me, whatever. Our relationship with Krishna should become more like our relationships are with the people here on the planet. There's the people that we're engaged with, the people that we are interacting with on a day-to-day basis. Because ultimately, that's what we're supposed to be doing when we're in the spiritual world, and we need to be practicing that now, right? That's the whole point of this, is to practice how we're going to be with Krishna. So how are you going to be with Krishna in the spiritual world? When you're dealing with your wife or your son or a good friend, that's the way in which you are supposed to be dealing with Krishna. Not with all of the maybe the contaminations, but that the essence of those relationships are the essence of the relationship that we need to be developing with Krishna. So it's not a question of, so much of, I have this desire and this prayer or whatever, and I'm making this prayer like this, and Krishna's not paying attention or whatever. Talk to him, talk to Krishna, engage in conversation with him the way that you would engage in conversation with anybody else. That's what I'm working on. I'm trying to do that more. It's like, okay, Krishna, I'm having a hard time here. This is going on like this. I know this is for my evolution. I know this is for my best, but I'm struggling here. Can you at least give me some intelligence as to what I'm doing that's not working, or, help me to understand this better, or, this is rough right now. This is really rough for me. I know that it's for my better thing, but I'm suffering right now, and it's rough, it's painful, and I really want to move through this as quickly as possible. Help me move through this as quickly as possible. I know it's for my own growth, but I don't want to stay here forever. I'm trying to work with that, with Krishna like that, because I understand that my relationship with him has to evolve. I have to become, if I say that I love Krishna, I want to go back to the spiritual world. This is the whole reason why I've been doing this for the last 30 something years. Then I have to be in a more, what's the word? A more organic relationship with Krishna, a relationship that looks more real, that's more authentic. That's what I'm talking about, the authentic self. We need to become more authentic with Krishna, and move away from this cardboard, artificial type of relationship to one that's much more wholesome. And when I say wholesome, when I say authentic, you can feel it in your heart when you're in a relationship that's real, and a relationship that's the opposite of real. That's kind of like cardboard. It's like there's no real taste there. There's a taste when you're dealing with Krishna, in a much more organic, more wholesome. There's a feeling inside, and that's really what we need to be developing, is that feeling. Anyway, I hope that kind of helps to answer a little bit.
Thank you, Mother.
Yeah.
Any other question?
I'm not sure how long does the class go, Prabhu, because we are a little, but I'm happy to answer more questions. As
maximum is 2 hours. You only spend 1 hour yet.
Oh. Okay. That was a detail somebody needed to share with me.
Yeah, we stop when there's no more class, no more questions. Or okay. If you have something to do, we can stop.
Oh, no. That's fine, Prabhu.
Ganga Prasad, you were honoring your mind. Maybe you have something to say.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Prabhu.
My pleasure to get to behold you for the first time, and also benefit from your realizations. I'm grateful. Thank you for being available on the platform.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Did you have a question, Prabhu?
No, it was a comment he was making.
Oh, thank you.
Is that all that, Prabhu?
So, Prabhupada, if you want to say something?
Yeah, Mother Yasodamayi, thank you for answering my question. But I am thinking that there are different levels of prayer depending on our spiritual attainment. Mm-hmm. Because I remember I once asked Chandramali Maharaj a question about Lord Chaitanya's Shikshastaka prayer. And he said, I think stanza 7 and 8 are for sannyasis. So I shouldn't worry myself about those 2 stanzas, which I thanked him, And I also recall one time I visited Gurudev at the Institute, and he was encouraging me to pray the prayers that whatever Krishna brings upon us to realize Krishna in this lifetime, he should. If even it means losing our wife, losing our dad. And I respectfully and humbly said to Gurudev, I don't think I can pray this prayer. So I am thinking that as devotees, depending on our level, and especially if one is a grihastha, a family life, leading a family life, there are certain prayers I don't think we can pray. In other words, we cannot pray to Krishna, asking Krishna for a particular help. And at the end of the request, we again tell Krishna that do as you wish. That is where it gets me. I do not understand the essence of praying if at the end of our prayer we're going to ask Krishna, do as you wish. He's already going to do as you wish.
Right, exactly.
So why do we have to pray?
Because we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that Krishna is going to do as he wants to do, but we can ask anyway. It's just like when you ask your parent for something. Hey, mom or dad, I want to go and spend, I want to go to a concert. I remember asking my dad this once. It wasn't a concert. I wanted to go to the movies to watch, I think it was the latest James Bond movie, whatever. And my dad said no. And it was like, why? I want to go to the movie. And he said no, so I couldn't go, So but I was thinking to myself, I should just go anyway. But then what was the point of asking if you're just going to go anyway? So it's the same thing. You're asking Krishna for this stuff, but at the end of it, you're saying, but if it's your will, because we acknowledge that we have these desires, but ultimately Krishna knows best for us. We can't see everything. Krishna is Tri-Kala Gyan. He sees past, present, and future. We can only see barely what's in front of us for maybe 5 minutes. We can barely see what's next to us. but Krishna can see the whole plan of everything. So we acknowledge that this is kind of what I would like, but I understand, Krishna, that you see the whole spectrum. And then if this is not something that's going to work out for me, then, you know, don't do it. If it is going to work out for me, then do it. You know, whatever it is you feel is in my best interest, let it happen. And that prayer that you were talking about, yeah, I actually also would joke with Gurudev about that too, because when he asked everybody to say that prayer, I told him I can't say that prayer either. But now I say that prayer. I say that prayer every day now, because it's not just, because my thinking at that time, you know, when Gurudev asked us to say that prayer was, what is Krishna going to take away? You know, and that was my sole meditation was, if I say this prayer, Krishna's going to take stuff away from me. But what I come to realize is that, yeah, Krishna may take stuff away, but he can also give stuff too. So my prayer is, you know, whatever you want to take away, whatever you want to give, that's going to make me a better servant, then do it. Because now I understand that Krishna only has my best intention at heart. You know, Krishna has my best intention at heart. So I don't even need to give permission to Krishna to, you know, give or take, but it's, again, this is a relationship, and in a relationship, there is a reciprocation. So our reciprocation with Krishna is to accept that, yeah, you know, whatever you need to do to actually say those words, if this is your will to do this, I'm asking for this. And if this is your will, you know, if this is what you want to do it. If it's not what you want to do, that's okay. I can't stop you anyway. Srila Prabhupada said the same thing. Pray to Lord Nrsingadev for my health, but also understand that if he wants to keep me here, he will. If he wants to take me, he will. Whatever Krishna wants. So that is kind of like a higher understanding that ultimately Krishna is his own person. He's going to do whatever he wants to do anyway. And we acknowledge that in our prayers, we acknowledge that. And that shows that we have made some progress as well, you know. So
Keshava Prabhu mentioned in the chat room that His Holiness Jayadwaita Swami once said that one way of depending on Krishna was to make no plans. That was all. Yeah.
Or you can make the plans and then watch them get squashed by Krishna if you want to do that too.
But based on that, I have a question. If one we're dependent on Krishna is to make no plan, is that not a responsibility? When a brahmachari leaves the temple and wants to get married, you tell him make no plans, depend on Krishna. So is that a good teaching? Are you not making him to be responsible of his wife and responsible as a married man?
I think, and this is my understanding of what Jayadwaita Maharaj is saying, when he says make no plans, he doesn't mean don't make a plan, but don't be attached to those plans. Okay, we have to use our intelligence. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, he's given us this buddhi, this intelligence, and one of the ways in which we serve Krishna is to use our intelligence to push his mission on, you know. Krishna, that's one of the greatest ways in which we can glorify Krishna, is to use our intelligence to serve him. So he didn't give us our intelligence not to use it, you know. So when we are making plans, we are trying to make plans. Everything is a plan. Srila Prabhupada has a plan to come to the West, to push on Krishna consciousness, to fulfill the orders of his spiritual master, to preach in the West. And when the plans didn't work out, he changed them. When he first came, he was in Butler, Pennsylvania. Does anybody even know where Butler? I live in Pennsylvania. I don't even know where Butler is, you know? And it wasn't working out there, so he changed. Then he went to New York, and his plan was to work with that devotee, not devotee, but that other Indian gentleman that was giving classes there, but he could see that that wasn't working out either because he was impersonal. So then his plan was to, you know, to be in New York and to write with his, until his typewriter got stolen. So he had to change the plan again. So yeah, we have plans, but we're not attached to them. And that's the whole thing. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, we have a right to our to work, but we don't have a right to the fruits of the work. So we put all these things in place, but we understand again that Krishna sees the whole spectrum. We only see what we're doing in front. Krishna sees the whole spectrum and may make changes and shift things as he wills, and that we shouldn't be attached to this particular way of this happening, because Krishna has another way, that he might have another way that he wants it to evolve. And we should just be, you know, okay, Krishna, your will be done, because ultimately it is going to be done. So yeah, so it's not a literal thing, like don't make any plans, but just don't be attached to the plans that you make, because ultimately Krishna is the ultimate planner. So.
Thank you, Mother.
Yeah.
Any other question? If there is none, we can let Mother.
Well, Mother Yasodamayi, thank you very much for expanding and giving explanation to Jayadratha Maharaj's statement, because a few weeks ago we had a similar trend of exchanges on our WhatsApp platform, where some devotees were saying, do not plan. And I was saying, if you do not plan, you are planning to fail. In other words, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So thank you for the explanation. But back to prayer. Because you said when Gurudev was encouraging us to say the prayer, at a time you said no. Today you say the same prayer. So it's a matter of evolution. But all I'm trying to say is, as devotees, we have to assess ourselves to understand where we are at and pray accordingly. And where I am at the moment, my prayer is that if even it is not going to be good for me, Krishna has the power to make it good. And lots of the time, people say, God does not give you what you cannot bear. But we see many times devotees face certain situations and they bloop. Because if Krishna should take away my wife or my children, because by doing so, that is going to intensify my devotion, I do not see how that is going to be working at this point in my life. And so I pray to Krishna, please don't let that happen. If in the near future I might be able to rise above to a certain point where that will not be a problem, then if it happens, I say, okay, Krishna. But what I'm trying to say is, I think it's important that devotees, we assess ourselves to know where we are at, so that we do not just imitate.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. And again, it brings us back to being authentic. That authentic self is really understanding who you are and where you are. You know, even in that, I think Kusha Prabhu, you were mentioning the 4 kinds of devotees that come to Krishna. You know, one that is distressed, one that is desiring of riches, one that is inquisitive, and one that actually is looking for
knowledge.
Looking for knowledge. So I was just thinking about that the other day, and I was thinking you could come being inquisitive, right? And then evolve to wanting to understand knowledge. Or you could come out of distress and then become inquisitive. Or you could come desiring wealth and then realize, oh, this is pointless, you know, and either become inquisitive or move away. So even in those 4 things, do we even know right now why we're coming to Krishna, you know, even that, to just ask yourself, why am I on this path? Am I really seeking knowledge, or am I really still looking to become wealthy, or to have some kind of prestige? You know, am I really coming to Krishna because I want to learn more about it, or am I just inquisitive? Am I just kind of nosy about what is this whole Krishna conscious thing? It's just like intrigues me right now, and I'm just kind of like interested in it, you know. And then when your interest is satiated, when you're no longer interested, you just move away. Like Sahadev said, you know, you blew, because that wasn't really you came for what you wanted. And it's like anything else. You go to a school or something, and you enroll, and you think, okay, I want to do this. Oh, you know what? This is not what I thought it was. You know, I don't really like the teachers. This is not an interesting subject. I'm going to leave. Or you go to a concert, you know, oh, I thought I liked this music. It's not really what I wanted to hear, you know, so you leave. So even in that, why are we on this path? Even those reasons can change, and we have to be aware of where we are and what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing at any, you know, given time. So,
Mother, what you say makes me laugh, because in the early days of Prabhupada, many people were on this path only because of the prasadam. They became devotees. So the reason is prasadam. So,
which is a very good reason. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna, don't disrespect prasadam. The reason I actually came to the temple was prasadam. Seriously, Gurudev came to my to University of Lagos. That's when I first saw Gurudev, and I had already been reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And then the reason that he came, he was invited by the psychology department to give a talk on vegetarianism, and I was already vegetarian. So I was like, oh my God, they're talking about vegetarianism. But I went there, and then the devotees were saying that, oh, we have this free Sunday feast. It's a vegetarian feast every Sunday at our temple. And it was like, oh my God, for the first time I can actually go somewhere and eat something vegetarian. Of course I'm going to the temple. Of course it took me a while to get there, but that was my reason for going to the temple, was prasadam, you know? So yeah. And a lot of devotees, when Srila Prabhupada left the planet, they left too, you know? So again, just being, like Sahadev Prabhu was saying, being mindful of where we are and how we're evolving on this path, and just being authentic, just being true to, just be truthful to yourself, you know, just you know, no, don't play games with yourself. You may be playing games with other people, but don't play games with yourself, you know.
Thank you, Mother.
Jai Hare Krishna.
No more questions on the platform. Mother Vrajalila, do you want to say something before we close?
Thank you very much, Krishna Prabhu, and thanks to all the devotees that were here. I see Loka is on the call, and so many beautiful devotees, and I'm just really grateful to all of you, and I'm grateful definitely to Yasodamayi, and we're looking forward to you coming on once a month, Yasodamayi.
I'm not too sure about that, but thank you for the offer, Mother Vrajalila. I'm slipping that one in there right underneath the door. Okay.
You know, we're getting Sahadev's approval, and that's big. That's huge.
As long as Sahadev is on that roster too. The roster. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we ask our devotees to kindly unmute yourselves. Let's chant Hare Krishna for Mother for coming.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Mother Pragadila. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you for your help. Can you please choose a date for Mother Yashoda for June also, and yourself?
Okay. Okay, we'll do that and we'll send it.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hari Bol. Hari Bol Kirtan Ras. I'm so happy to see you. Kirtan. Sahadev's son.
Pure devotee.
Yes, for sure. Hari Bol, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Thank you, everybody. Now we sign out, please. Thank you.